Hey folks, I have been really looking forward to talking to you this week. It has been such a sensitive season, and there is a lot of fear and confusion kind of going around as we close towards the election day. And I wanted to just, in this video, verbally have you hear me with my own voice, do some Mythbusters that is circulating the internet right now. And I'm just saying this information to you after 17 years of being at Hope Clinic, having over 10,000 pregnant women walk in the door of the 17 years that I've been here, not to mention the probably 5,000 clients that have come in here for medical services, and easily another 1,000 women who have come in here for pregnancy loss or postpartum. So I say that because I've seen a lot of these women, and I talk to a lot of other centers who are also seeing a lot of women around the country. And so some of it is by purely what we've seen, and some of it's by the data that we've collected from reputable organizations as we write grants every single year. The first Mythbuster is access to women's health care. It is so important that you know that there are so many great nonprofits in every city, in every state, that provides low-cost, amazing health care. I was just on a task force for Middle Tennessee, and just in Middle Tennessee alone, there were 25 clinics in that room. We were one of the 25. Yes, Planned Parenthood was one of the 25, but there were 23 other clinics. And so just to kind of give you an idea on numbers, there's about 600 Planned Parenthoods throughout the country. There are about 1,600 federally qualified healthcare organizations, and that doesn't even include places like us. While we do a full suite of women's healthcare, because we don't also handle things like sinus infections and the flu, we don't fall under a federally qualified healthcare organization. So if you add in places like Hope Clinic to that list, that means there are about over 2,000 of us. And so we may all have different names. We may not have a big brand, but I just want you to know there are wonderful places in every city and every state for women to go get access to quality health care. The second thing is birth control. I know in the topic of abortion, everybody just thinks abortion would go away if we could just get affordable birth control in the hands of people. People are getting pregnant because they don't have access to birth control. Well, that may be true for a small population. I can tell you the vast majority of clients actually have access to birth control. It's something we all talk about. And in many cities, including ours, we have very affordable birth control. In fact, right in Nashville, Tennessee, A Step Ahead provides free IUDs for women who are at a certain income level. And so it is something that we even prescribe here at Hope Clinic, and it is something that most clinics do. I continue to be shocked and amazed at how many young people still choose to not use any form of birth control, and that is where you and I can come in on the education side, and that's why our prevention education and what we say in that healthcare visit is so important. Because yes, while we know that the only 100% way to not get pregnant and not get an STD is abstinence, we do want to make sure those that are sexually active are using some form of birth control. So it's more on the education and getting them to do it rather than the access to it. The other topic is, and it starts to get a little bit more uncomfortable, is the topic of abortion. Yes, 91% of most abortions in the country are happening in that first trimester. But it means about 7.7% are happening in that second trimester, and about 1.2% are happening in the third trimester. As best as we can tell from the data, at least a third of the abortions in that second and third trimester are women choosing to have that abortion. It's not because of her health is on the line, and it's not because the health of the baby is on the line. And in fact, the misnomer is that you need a third trimester abortion. At that third trimester, if the life of the mom is on the line, delivery is the safest option for that. They're either going to have her do a vaginal birth or they're going to do a C-section. Because even if you do an abortion in the third trimester, she's still going to have to deliver that baby. And so those numbers are real, and they're hard for us to understand. I think it's not as simple as abortion on demand, but I also want you to know that it does happen. Right here in Nashville, Tennessee, the Planned Parenthood 2 blocks away is doing abortions up to 19 weeks and 6 days. So it's happening. And so that's kind of the balance I kind of want you to have with that. As we go a little bit further down on talking about the Mythbusters, I've seen different reports that the abortion rates are actually lower during Democrat presidents than Republican presidents. That's actually not true. If you just go to the CDC website, it'll show you the rise of abortions and then the start to decline in the late 90s. And so it's been a steady decline. And I actually think there are 4 things that I think are the most significant reasons why we've seen a decline in abortions. I think first and foremost is we're much more educated about prenatal and what's going on inside the womb, the rise of the ultrasound. The ultrasound has made it really clear about the development of a pregnancy. And yes, it is so hard for a woman to see the development of that fetus and not see it for a baby versus being a bunch of cells. And so I think education on that ultrasound has been a huge indicator of women choosing life. Second, I'd like to say the rise of pregnancy centers. There are 3,000 of us across the country. Our only goal is to help a woman slow down, understand her options, and provide support if she chooses to parent or chooses adoption. And that alone has been a big difference. In fact, I read an article on Yahoo years ago when it talked about how 70% of pro-choice women chose life or would choose life if they had a support system, which really matches my data here. I can tell you that 80% of the women who are positive get that ultrasound. Once they find out about our support system, choose to parent. They choose life, not because we've made them, but because we've actually provided the support that they really wanted all along. We also know that access to birth control has helped reduce abortions. The number one way you reduce abortions is to reduce unplanned pregnancies. It's really that simple. If you don't get pregnant, there's not going to be an abortion. So of course, access and proper use of birth control has helped. We can't ignore that. And then the last thing I think is one of the biggest things too is it's much more socially acceptable to be a single parent today than it was 30 or 40 years ago. And many more women are finding a way to do career and be a single mom and not lose either option. And so I think that's prevalent. The last Mythbuster really is, well, if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, abortion's gone, and pregnancy centers don't need to be here. Abortions were legal by certain states before Roe v. Wade. And so even if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, which would take a lot for that to happen, we're still going to have to deal with abortion at the state level. And so it's not the end all of the story. And women are still going to have sex outside of a marriage relationship. Married couples and single people are going to have unplanned pregnancies. I think with the abortion pill, access to abortion on demand or on the internet is still going to happen with or without Roe v. Wade. So it's not like it's going to go away immediately, but pregnancy centers will always need to be here, which is really where you come in. And so this is an opportunity. If this is a story and a topic that is so passionate to you, please make sure, I don't care where you're listening, find a pregnancy center to support if it's not Hope Clinic. With your time, talents, and treasures. We need your resources. We do not get government funding for this work that we do. It is all free. It is all tangible. It is all amazing. And the work we do matters whether you are pro-life or pro-choice. I don't really care because we need to help these women that come in the door. And then the last thing I just want to close with is please, let's watch our language online. We are using very strong words when we talk about abortion. We have to realize that women my age, 1 in 3 women in my age group, 1 in 4 women in about the 30 and under age group have had an abortion. So every time we write something, be sensitive that the person that might be reading that has been through an abortion. And we want to make sure that she knows that there is grace and mercy and forgiveness and a place to go to. So if you are watching this and you are post-abortive, you know somebody who's post-abortive, please find out about the wonderful care that we provide for post-abortive women. God bless you, and God bless this country, and be with us all in the next coming days.